It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Here in West Bloomfield, work is being done every single day to honor our veterans and our heroes who do so much to make our country what it is. And recently, the great people of West Bloomfield Parks helped to do so with their annual Heroes Breakfast. It was such a fun time, and I attended this year's festivities and got to hear from several local veterans on what this event means to them.
Well, we've been here for each and every one, and we really appreciate West Bloomfield for doing this for us. And it's tough to be a veteran from the Vietnam era, but we do appreciate everything that has happened, and every volunteer, every service person, and this community, and thank you.
It's been very, very invigorating because I'm able to see my fellow veterans and to see the outreach of the community and the people who are very, very much interested in the veterans. Just the idea of being here and being recognized is the one thing that really validates everything for me.
Well, first of all, just an amazing event. It feels good. This type of stuff makes you feel good. It's important not only for the veterans, but it's important for the community. And so to be able to do this, celebrate this way, just this is a standard that other communities should follow. Walking in here, seeing the attendance and what those folks are doing, and putting it on, I think this should be a benchmark for other communities.
What do you have to say to West Bloomfield, especially to West Bloomfield Parks, for putting on this event every single year and to be honoring the veterans every chance that they get?
An absolute huge thank you, right? It takes work. These things just don't happen. So it takes people that'll volunteer and do other things to make it happen. So I guess I just want to say a big thank you and keep doing it and encourage others to do the same.
About the people here today, everybody visiting this event, to be learning from the veterans and to be joining part in this moment together, what do you hope they take away from being a part of something like this today?
Well, I hope that they take away that those things that we were told while we were on active duty. Never forget to give back to the community, because the community has given you so much, and that's important.
Freedom is not free, and that's the thing that we need to always keep in mind, and especially with the people that didn't come back, my brothers and sisters that we miss and we'll never forget.
Community service and those at the home front are just as important as us when we deploy, because you got to come home. And what do you come home to? And so I think having this event and having those others attend is as important, if not more important, than the veterans coming. Because we get together and share an old story, but really seeing the other community members there makes events like this special.
It was such a great feeling to be able to speak to those veterans and to see how much this event meant to them and for the community to be showing their respects in this wonderful way. And if you want to check out the full show, the full Heroes Breakfast show, you can head over to civiccentertv.com/heroes25 to see the Heroes Breakfast in its entirety. A big congratulations to Coach Chris Ludwig, who has been named the Division I Michigan Tennis Coach of the Year, a well-deserved honor that reflects his exceptional dedication, leadership, and impact on the sport. Coach Ludwig is, of course, the tennis coach for West Bloomfield High School, and his commitment to developing athletes both on and off the court has elevated the program and inspired countless players over the years, making this recognition a proud moment for the entire community. So once again, a big congratulations to Coach Chris Ludwig. Hope to have him on the Splash Live very, very soon to talk about what this means to him. The 2025 Shop Sylvan event celebrated another successful year, welcoming 624 shoppers and guests who helped to generate an impressive total of $33,728 in total sales. The marketplace once again showcased the strength of community support and the talent of local makers. And the organizers extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone who attended, contributed, and helped make this year's Shop Sylvan a vibrant, memorable experience. Lots to look forward to in the greater West Bloomfield community, and coming very soon to West Bloomfield is the Soul Studio Holiday Market, a festive community market showcasing handcrafted gifts and artwork created by the artists of Soul Studio, a part of the Friendship Circle of Michigan. The market is scheduled for Sunday, November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And joining us now to tell us more about this year's event are two facilitating artists with Soul Studio, Leslie Frisch and Abigail Mead. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you both with us, and really excited to be hearing about this event. I mean, we're getting close to the holidays. Events like these are important so people can look for the perfect gift to give somebody for the holiday season. Leslie, I'm going to start with you. What makes the Soul Studio Holiday Market such a meaningful event for both the artists and the greater West Bloomfield community?
It creates this really beautiful cycle of connection and empowerment, both for the community who supports our artists and for our artists who get a platform to be seen for their skills.
That's right. Great showcase of all of the skills of these incredible artists at Soul Studio. And I've been at Soul Studio many times. I've gotten to see these artists and what they're able to accomplish firsthand, and it's always great. Abigail, how is this market going to be structured for the community and for everybody to check out?
So the structure of the market for people to come out, we're going to have events for people to make. We have a magnet painting event to get the community in and engage. We're going to have a chocolate station and sweets for people to have, so people can mingle while they look and shop for art for the holidays.
All right, lots of great things to enjoy. It's a full experience with the holiday market. Lots to enjoy there, more than just shopping. And Leslie, there's going to be a lot of different types of items on display with Soul Studio. Can you describe maybe some of the items that guests are going to be able to find this year?
Absolutely. We have so much great stuff. We have ceramic dog vases, hand-woven scarves, table runners, candlesticks made right here in our wood shop, and mosaics and all these other really great, unique items. There's something for everyone. And you can also come to the events that we are hosting. So we have a magnet painting event during holiday market, and you can also make your own flower arrangement with any vase purchase.
All right, lots to look forward to and so many great things to check out and to provide for the family this holiday season. Abigail, how does Soul Studio empower artists with special needs through programs like this market?
I believe that programs like Holiday Market empower our artists in a few different ways. First of all of the artists, they get paid for every piece of artwork that they sell. And this not only provides income, but it also gives validation for all of their hard work and their talents. It also gives the artists a platform, and they get to meet the community, engage with them, and see the joy that their artwork brings to the people. And it helps build their confidence.
That's right. It helps build that confidence, and it provides more and more outlets for these artists to showcase what they're able to accomplish. And that's what it's all about, and that's what we love to see. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with facilitating artists with Soul Studio, Leslie Frisch and Abigail Mead, talking about the Friendship Circle's Soul Studio's Holiday Market that's going to be coming up on Sunday, November 23rd from 10 to 3 p.m. Lots to look forward to. And Leslie, in what ways would you say that this event helps foster connection and inclusion within Greater West Bloomfield?
It's a great chance for the community to meet our artists and see the amazing work that they do and connect with the incredible community that we have here at Soul Studio.
You're absolutely right. And Abigail, with the Friendship Circle of Michigan, how do they integrate creativity and independence into its programming with Soul Studio?
At Soul Studio, creativity and independence aren't two separate goals. They're very much connected. We believe that every person has a unique voice and the capacity for self-expression. We integrate them into the studio through giving access to a variety of materials, from ceramics and painting to fibers and printmaking. And we encourage the artists to explore, to experiment, and to find their own unique artistic pathway.
That's right. And again, that's what it's all about, to find that pathway and to find your voice in this very creative way. I got a few more questions before we wrap things up. Leslie, why is it important for the community to be supporting artist-centered events like this one?
Oh, it's so important for our artists here at Soul Studio. Anyone who comes into this space can sense immediately how meaningful Soul Studio is to our artists and our volunteers and the members of this community. And it's such a powerful feeling to be a part of that.
You're absolutely right. And last question before we wrap things up, and this is to both of you. Why do you believe the holiday market continues to resonate so strongly with families, shoppers, and supporters in the community? Abigail, we'll start with you.
Awesome. I think it resonates with the community because people are really hungry right now for authentic and positive community experiences. Families come because it's a joyful, welcoming environment where they can come and enjoy fun activities, meet with members of their community, and support their community in a very tangible way.
And I'd like to add, not only will it be a lot of fun, but it's a great opportunity to support this organization that's so empowering for our artists.
You're absolutely right. So much to look forward to with Soul Studio. I can't wait to see it. Leslie, Abigail, thank you both so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. Once again, the holiday market's going to be taking place on November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hope to see a lot of people out there supporting these artists and what they have to offer for the great people of Greater West Bloomfield. As mentioned earlier in the show, work is being done every day to support the veterans of our community, and that includes a very important chapter of our history, the Tuskegee Airmen, who played a crucial role during World War II. Chuck Matthews, the president of the Macon Thomas West Bloomfield chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, joined me on The Splash recently to discuss how he's working to keep the legacy of the airmen alive. Chuck, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, really happy to be having you with us on this Veterans Day. What does Veterans Day mean to you personally, and how does it feel to honor the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen on this occasion?
Well, Veterans Day, for the biggest part, is giving veterans, wherever they are, the recognition, the honor, just the highest level of respect for who they are, what they've done, the sacrifices, and particularly those who have provided the ultimate sacrifice, those who have given their lives in defense of this country, doing what they were ordered to do. And it's not something, they're owed that recognition and honor. And for the Tuskegee Airmen, that history and legacy has so much to offer for all ages. Even now, though World War II has ended many years ago, the accomplishments, the legacy, the history, how they went about facing adversity, facing impediments, facing just out and out a desire for that training to not succeed. Put that all behind, work hard, prove, continue to excel. And they got their shot, and they took advantage of that opportunity and saved this country's pursuit into Germany by protecting those bombers who provided the final blow to Nazi Germany to bring them to the table to say, we give.
You're absolutely right. A very powerful story. And as you said, it is inspiring several generations of people today, including younger generations. How do you think the story really inspires the younger generations, would you say?
When they hear it, when they are told, and it's as I speak around at schools and nonprofits and just general discussions at social gatherings, there are a fair amount of people, young and older, citizens who are not aware of the total story of the Tuskegee Airmen. Not that they have to know all the intricate details, but how they were selected, how they were trained, what they went through, and what they accomplished. It's there's so much to be gleaned from that history, and that's my motivation for becoming a member of Tuskegee Airmen and a local chapter, is to continue that history, legacy, and contributions of the 332nd Fighter Group, which is who the Red Tails were, protecting the bombers. And for every bomber that is shot down, there's about 10 men whose, if they weren't a father, they'll never be a father, grandfather. Those who had families would never return to those families. So every bomber that is protected, that gets back to base, that's 10 men. And we were losing bombers at a historic rate in those final months and a couple of years going into Germany to try to bring it in to that war. And the heroics of the Tuskegee Airmen provided that final victory blow to Nazi Germany.
That's all right. Very, very important part of our history, and very, very crucial part in a very taxing time for America. And with a lot of these values, there was some very important values with the Tuskegee Airmen that are still relevant today. What would you say are some of those values that you see really hitting home with a lot of our residents today?
Well, that is how one approaches adversity, how one approaches negativity, how one would approach just having the proverbial card deck stacked against one. The lesson that I impart to particularly young people is never, never, ever let anyone tell you what you're not capable of, what you can't do, what you don't have in you, even if it's family. You have greatness that's within you, and you have to not buy into you're less than, you can't do this. You're capable of doing so many things that you put your mind, heart, educate yourself, and get it done. Just have that mentality to get it done, and not fight physically, but fight mentally, intellectually, and just words of my dad. I remember them clearly, so clearly, as I can show you better than I can tell you what I can do.
I love that. I can show you better than I can tell you. Powerful words for everybody to keep in mind. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the president of the Macon Thomas West Bloomfield chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, Chuck Matthews, about the everlasting legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen and the very important messages that people are remembering even today from the work that they have done to protect our country. Now, you and the chapter work to ensure, how do you and your chapter work to ensure that the sacrifices and accomplishments of the Tuskegee Airmen are remembered all year round, not just on Veterans Day?
Exactly. We have approached schools and nonprofits, churches, any group. Let us come in and tell you that history and legacy, and for kids, make it fun, make it interesting for the children and the adults. Much of it, I mean, we can thank George Lucas in the filming of Red Tails, and I can't believe how long ago that was, that brought some interest into the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. I spoke at a church just this past Sunday, and there were members there. They took that movie to heart. I said, by and large, the story is true. So some of the intricate details it's on the dramatic side for movie making, but the gist of that story is, the essence of it is accurate. But we visit museums, participate in parades of Memorial Day, just any day, Independence Day, anything that we do to celebrate the greatness of this country. We want to be part of that, showing that we are part, and we want to honor the contributions of the Tuskegee Airmen.
That's amazing to hear, and it's great to hear of all of these ways that you're continuing to teach everybody about the Tuskegee Airmen, especially people, young students who might be learning about the Airmen for the first time. How do you engage with students who are learning these stories for the first time?
We have linked ourselves with, as a chapter, and we're looking even on a national basis to engage our youth in, we have money management training that we do with our chapter. This teaches kids as young as 3rd, 4th grade about money, managing money, the importance of budgeting, savings, setting goals, and how to negotiate an allowance at home, be a participant at home in what has to be done, and respectfully and effectively asking for an allowance for participating in it. So we do money management. We have a drone training program where we go into schools, churches, nonprofits, and we teach children and teens about flying a drone. And the rules and the laws of drone flying have changed dramatically since drones became popular. There are places you can and cannot fly a drone, places where kids could get their parents in some serious trouble. So we teach them the rules of drone flying and to operate drones recreationally. And we also are getting involved with 107, which is, don't be so caught up on the term and the number, 107 training, which is the introduction to pilot training. And with 107 training, one can fly drones commercially. And that is, they have the opportunity now to earn income. And that's really important for those youth whose track is not particularly going into college to be a doctor, lawyer, scientist, or any of that, or even a trade, plumber, electrician. But drone flight careers, and that's pretty lucrative from what I understand financially as well. And the training is intense, but we're doing those things, the etiquette, how to apply yourself to get a job and what you need to do to keep a job as a young person. So we're trying to impact many aspects of our youth on things they need with the history and the outline that was provided by the Tuskegee Airmen.
And it's amazing that the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen has reached all the way to the people of today. Chuck, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program today. I got one more quick question before we wrap things up. What message would you like to share this Veterans Day about service, perseverance, and carrying forward the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen?
When anyone watching this program or talks to someone who has seen this program, when you see a veteran, and many proudly wear their caps out in public, just say thank you for your service. So that is, it's just a few words, but it means so much, and do it from the heart. These veterans, many of them are struggling now with what they went through, be it World War II, not many of those left, but Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, Afghanistan. We thank you for your service, and because it is invaluable to us. They volunteered to do that duty. They did that duty and did it well. And we are experiencing and enjoying the freedoms that we do because veterans have done what they have done. And I just want to thank veterans all over the world for what they have done, are doing, and will do in support of this great country of ours.
And we thank them as well for everything they do to protect our country. Chuck, thank you so much for joining us today here on the program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Lots to thank for our veterans for everything that they do for our country, and for Chuck and everybody with the Macon Thomas chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen for spreading their message and for spreading their legacy all throughout the community. Temperatures are getting lower and lower every single day, and residents have already had to begin dealing with some of the car care that comes with the wintertime. And that also means preparing ourselves for ice and snow on the roads that could impact your morning commute. I recently spoke with Craig Bryson, the Senior Communications Manager for the Oakland County Road Commission, about how the team is preparing themselves for the winter season. Craig, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, very, very important conversation to be having. We've all been seeing the snow come down in Michigan, the first snow of the season, and it's just reminding us of what is to come. So as the temperatures begin to drop, what are some key things Oakland County residents should keep in mind when driving on local roads?
Well, the first and foremost thing we always tell people is to please slow down. We'll be out doing everything we can, but we can't guarantee that there won't be some icy, slushy spots. So please slow down, drive appropriately for conditions. Every year at the beginning of the season, we see people driving too fast and putting themselves and potentially others at risk. So please slow down when the weather is inclement.
That's right. And this stuff could happen at any time of the day. But I'm curious, are there certain times of day or types of roads that tend to become more dangerous once the temperatures start to dip below freezing?
Absolutely. First and foremost, the morning and evening rush hour, when you have the most traffic on the road, is always the most dangerous. You have the most people crowding into roads that are sometimes over capacity. Any time of the day, depending on when the weather hits, can be challenging. But when the most traffic is out is when we're most concerned, and we're trying to get the roads as clear as possible. But of course, any time of day, please just drive for conditions.
That's right. Always be wary of what is on the road. Now, I'm curious, how is the Road Commission preparing for the upcoming winter season in terms of maybe equipment or salt supplies or even staffing?
Yeah, all of those. We've now completed our fall winter maintenance training. We go to every garage, sit down with all the drivers and review all the procedures, all the practices as far as how to drive, safety techniques, truck maintenance techniques. Our mechanics have completed, although it's an ongoing process always, but they've completed the fall review of all the trucks. The trucks are ready to go. We've got all of our salt facilities full, which means we've got about 37,000 tons of salt in 6 storage facilities across the county. So we are ready.
Wow, 37,000 tons of salt, is that what you said?
Yes, that's how much we have on hand when we have all of our salt facilities full. We use an average of about 64,000 tons per year. So, that's a little bit more than half of what we'll use in an average year.
Wow. I mean, that certainly does help put things into perspective about just how much you guys prepare for this sort of stuff and just how much work goes into keeping our roads safe. And I am curious, Craig, with the winter season coming along, because you guys do great work in keeping our roads safe, but of course, I'm curious, are there maybe some new technologies or strategies that the Road Commission is going to be using this year to maybe improve efficiency and response times, especially during snow and ice events?
Well, there's a couple of things. We finally got 34 new trucks in late this year, that we literally had ordered during COVID, and they finally came in. The delay in getting equipment has been crazy for the last couple of years. We're finally getting those trucks out on the road. Those trucks offer some new technologies. Traditionally, salt trucks had a single salt spreader in the back that spread the salt. Some of our new trucks have dual salt spreaders on each side of the back of the truck that allows them to salt a wider area. We can do multiple lanes at once. Some of them even have salt spreaders on the side of the truck that can spread the salt out to an additional lane towards the side. Those things make us more effective. We can salt more lanes at the same time. Almost all of our trucks now have the wing plows that fold out from the right-hand side so we can plow an additional lane or shoulder at the same time, again, making us more efficient. All of our trucks are equipped with the green lights now that make them more visible, even in a blinding snowstorm. Those green lights can be seen from further away, which is a safety issue. So lots of new technology, and being inside of those trucks is kind of like being in a fighter jet. There's so much technology in the trucks now. We have cameras on the front of the trucks that we can monitor what they're seeing, so our management people can look at any of the trucks that are out there and see what the road conditions are like. They can monitor the amount of salt that's being spread anywhere to make sure we're putting down the right amount of salt for the conditions at that moment. Lots of technology on these trucks these days.
You're absolutely right about those trucks. I was in one of those trucks last year for a story for Civic Center TV, and I can tell you firsthand, yes, a lot of technology, a lot of stuff that goes into keeping our roads safe, and it's great to hear of the continued updates in that efficiency. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Senior Communications Manager for the Oakland County Road Commission, Craig Bryson, about some important tips to keep in mind as we're starting to see the first snowfalls of the winter season, and as temperatures are dropping, how to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe on the road. Now, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, road construction is always going to be taking place, and that's something people should still be aware of as we are navigating through the winter season. How is construction managed during colder temperatures like this? What usually gets done?
Well, most of the construction that you'll see in the winter is emergency repairs, things like water main breaks, sewer breaks. Most of the main road construction will wrap up typically by the end of November or so. A few projects, they'll continue to do some surface work. But of course, please watch all the signs, slow down. Don't try to go through areas that are closed. Every year we have people that ignore the road closed signs, drive around barriers, putting themselves and the workers at risk. Please don't do that. That's a safety issue. The roads are closed for a reason. If we didn't have to close the roads, we wouldn't. But they're closed for good reason. Please respect those barricades and those signs, and don't go around them, and don't put yourself or our workers at risk. We want everybody to go home safely.
That's absolutely right. That is the biggest priority above everything else. And of course, also when it comes to colder temperatures, that means severe winter weather is always going to be in the back of our minds. It can always pop up at any time. What kind of coordination usually takes place between the Road Commission and local municipalities during severe winter weather, would you say?
Yeah, well, we monitor the weather very closely. If we know there's a storm coming, we will keep we'll let the communities know that we're going to be getting ready to get out there. Sometimes the storms come up with a little advance warning. Those are the more challenging ones. Or we get a storm where it's right at the breaking point of the freezing. You know, if it goes up a degree, there's no storm, it's just rain. If it drops a degree, we have a major snowstorm. Those are the kind of the hardest ones to monitor, but we do try to share information with our partners in all the communities. Many of the cities and villages are also doing their own road maintenance, so they're monitoring things as well. But communications is a big part of it. We want to let the public know what we're doing as well, so we'll send out press releases to you, our friends in the media. We'll post information on social media. That's a great way to kind of keep track of what's going on. But it's often a very fluid, changing situation, and it can change, minute by minute sometimes.
Sounds like a pretty well-oiled machine, all things considered, and great ways to keep everybody informed. I got a couple more questions before we wrap things up, Craig. How can residents stay updated on current road conditions or report problems that they witness during winter storms?
Yeah, great question. So we've got a real-time traffic map on our website that'll indicate whether traffic is slow or going at normal speeds. There's also a lot of cameras that you can click on to see real-time what the roads look like in those locations. That's a great resource. We've got all the MDOT cameras along the freeways linked on that website, so you can click, see if the freeway is running smoothly or if there's snow on the roads. That's one great source. You can follow our social media We post updates there regularly. And then just, pay attention to what the weather forecasters are saying. We're listening to them as well. We're listening to our own forecasters, trying to stay abreast of what Mother Nature is throwing at us.
That's right. And I mean, Michigan weather can be some of the most unpredictable weather of all, as this said from somebody who's lived in the state all 26 years of my life. But it can always change with the snap of a finger. But yes, always important to stay prepared. Craig, I want to thank you so much for joining us on The Splash. One last question. What would you like the public to better understand about the work your crews do during the winter months to keep roads safe and accessible?
Yeah, that's a great question. We want people to know that we will be out there when it snows. We often hear, well, I haven't seen a snowplow, so you guys must not be out. The reality is we cover 2,700 miles of county roads and 230 miles of state highways. And when we have our maximum coverage out, we've got about 109 trucks, 19 road graders, and potentially 18 pickup trucks. So the likelihood of you seeing one of those trucks during your commute is probably statistically fairly low. That doesn't mean we're not out there. Just because you don't see our trucks doesn't mean we're not out there. We monitor the weather very closely. When it's snowing or in the cleanup of period after a storm, we are out there. You may not see us, but we're out there working hard, and our drivers are out around the clock during those situations. And we thank people for their patience as we get things cleaned up.
Always out there and always working. And we thank you, Craig, and the Road Commission for everything you're doing to keep the roads safe. Thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Now, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan, but I do know that winter is coming. And it's really, really important to have this information out there so residents can be prepared on how to handle themselves on the road. So we really appreciate Craig Bryson from the Road Commission for Oakland County for joining us on The Splash Live to have this all-important discussion. The winter season also means the rise of winter sports. After an exciting football season, West Bloomfield High School is turning the page and looking ahead to some of the other programs they have throughout the rest of the school year. Eric Pierce, the athletic director for West Bloomfield High School, joined us recently on The Splash Live to tell us what we can expect for the rest of the school year. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me as always. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Great to have you with us. Let's jump right into, let's first talk about this football season, which obviously it might have ended maybe a little earlier than I think a lot of us expected it to, but it was a great season for the Lakers. Now that the football season has officially wrapped up, how would you describe this year's team and the journey that they've had from start to finish?
Well, there were a lot of question marks going into the season this year. Obviously, every year we have to replace a lot of talented athletes at West Bloomfield High School. And one of the things that stood out right away was the teamwork, the level of passion that these players had. And they had leaders on the team, the Jeremiah Bensons of the world, Jamal Shakespeare, Travis Robertson, Will Espy. Those are guys that are great team players and basically led us to having a great regular season at 7-2. You look at our schedule every single year, and it's always extremely difficult. So to be able to go out there and win 7 games during the regular season is a true testament to the way that this team came together and found a way to compete and win in those games.
You're right. A 7-2 record is nothing to sneeze at, and a lot of big names that I'm sure are going to make even bigger names for themselves once they make it off to college. But how did you see the players grow, both on and off the field, over the course of the season, would you say?
Yeah, I think the big thing that you see people developing leadership skills. And, they go through a lot together. And in all our sports at West Bloomfield, with all the preparation and all the off-season workouts and everything they do to represent our school, it's just truly a blessing to be able to watch these student athletes go out there and compete at the highest level. We always see a better product at the end of the year than we see at the beginning of the year, and that's a true testament to the players themselves as well as the coaches that are out there working with them. Our goal is to help them achieve their goals, and whether that means playing in college or playing beyond that or just having a great experience in high school, that's what we want to help them do. And I think that we did that with all of our fall sports this year.
That's what you guys are there for, and it's great to see all of that hard work pay off with this team. Looking back, what are you personally most proud of about this group of athletes and the coaching staff's efforts this year?
Yeah, just the never give up attitude. They came in this year and they said they had something to prove, and I think they did that. Going out and starting off the way that we did with the 37-0 victory over Dearborn-Fortson when there were some question marks. And obviously that's a team that finished 7-2 in the regular season as well, and to come out and blank them like we did, that kind of set the tone for the year. And then with victories over Southfield and then Groves and Rochester Adams, and it was an awesome start, and the team itself just had a passion, and you can tell it by the way they played on the field. And they truly care for each other, and they care for their coaches, and they were a great representation of West Bloomfield athletics.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Definitely a great football season. Can't wait to see what's to come with these athletes in the years to come and as some go off to college. But as we said, the football season has come to a close, and now we're starting to look ahead through the rest of the school year and some of the other sports that are coming up very, very soon. As the football season is closing, how do you and the athletic department transition your focus to the winter sports season?
Yeah, the first thing we do is we try to wrap up what's going on with the fall sports, and we try to recognize those individuals and those teams that did a fantastic job in the fall sports season. We talk about teams like our cross country team, our boys cross country team that won the OA Blue Division, or our girls golf team that won the OA Gold. Individual performances so far, like Elizabeth Eichbrecht in swimming, who's set 2 state records already so far this year, and they're still actually competing right now. Just a lot of wonderful things from the fall, and we try to celebrate those things. And then what we do is we shift gears and plan and try to provide the best opportunities for our winter sports to achieve at the levels that they have. Obviously, when the winter sports season comes around, one of the first things that we talk about girls basketball. Our girls basketball program, as you know, has been to the Breslin Center the last 4 years in a row, going to at least the semifinals and winning 2 state championships in those times as well. So we're looking forward to another wonderful season from our girls basketball program. Obviously, they're led by a number of talented athletes. Sheridan Beal is committed to North Alabama, and she's going to be out there scoring a bunch for us again this season. And London Hall is going to lend her leadership in the middle as well.
Sounds like West Bloomfield is just filled to the brim with young athletic talent, and I always love to hear it. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the athletic director for West Bloomfield High School, Eric Pierce, about the upcoming winter sports season as football comes to a close, and we're starting to look ahead through the next few months. Now, Eric, how do you maintain that same level of school spirit and community support across all of the different athletic programs throughout the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to tell you the truth, it's extremely tough at times. And it's not because the people don't want to be supportive of everything, but especially with winter sports, a lot of them take place off-site. You look at hockey, you look at skiing, snowboarding, bowling. These are all sports that aren't taking place, obviously, at West Bloomfield High School, although I'd love to have a bowling alley here. It'd be nice. But it's one of those things where you just try to inform everybody of what's going on. You try to make sure that they're excited for the teams, that they're aware of how the teams are performing. And our fans are great because they will show up. Obviously boys basketball and girls basketball are probably the biggest draws that we have in terms of attendance and community support during the winter sports season. But you'll see our fans at the ice hockey games. You'll see our fans that come out and they'll actually, come to the wrestling meets and all those different types of things that occur as well. And it's great to have because, all these student athletes are putting in their time, they're putting in their effort, and they're really representing Laker Nation extremely well.
That's right, and I'd say that energy is just really, really infectious for everybody, and especially with the football program, which I think kind of sets the stage for the school year itself, and especially with a very strong football season. How would you say the success and culture of the football program helps to influence or maybe inspire other sports at West Bloomfield High School?
For sure. It always gets us off to a great start. When there's excitement that starts with athletics, and it starts right when school starts, obviously that's when the first football game is usually, it kind of carries over. It sets the trend for the year. Our fall sports, whether it was like boys soccer or field hockey or whoever else, girls swim, they were able to experience a lot of crowds out there this year and a lot of fans that were cheering for them. Volleyball especially too. We just had our volleyball districts yesterday actually, and it was cool when you see all of our fans that are coming to venues that aren't West Bloomfield and cheering on our programs. Well, there's an away game in football or away game in soccer or whatever. It's great to see the West Bloomfield fans there, and I truly appreciate all the support that our community gives us.
It just goes to show how impactful a lot of these teams are to the community, and it shows how great of work that you and the rest of the coaching staff does all throughout West Bloomfield High School. And the Laker community is known for its strong support. How did you see that play out this season, and what impact do you think that community support has on its athletes?
Well, it gives them something to play for. Honestly, there's something different about playing in front of a large group of fans that are cheering for you. It's always that, it's kind of cliche, but when you feel down and you feel out or you feel tired or you feel any of those emotions that are out there on the field of play, and then you have somebody cheering for you and telling you can do it, or you look in the crowd and you're like, oh, I don't want to let people down. It's a great motivator. And to have that support, it just gives that extra edge to our teams. And I really see it in the way that our teams play. And they're proud to represent West Bloomfield. And whether it's in the classroom or on the fields, we're hoping that we're making everybody proud with our athletics program.
I think you absolutely are every single day. Now, you've been going through a lot of the different sports that we're going to have within the next few months. You've said basketball, cross country. Are there some sports that maybe people aren't as aware of that you want to highlight with West Bloomfield right now?
There's always a ton of sports going on at West Bloomfield, and we have a lot of programs that are going on in the winter. Just to give you a brief list, obviously people know about boys basketball and girls basketball. Boys basketball, we're looking forward to a great season. Curtis Britton coming back, one of our leading scorers. Girls basketball, we talked a little bit about earlier. Winter's also home to boys swim. We have our ice hockey team that's now combined with Bloomfield Hills and Waterford. So we are actually called Lakes United. Logan Scheitz, one of our leading goal scorers, he's coming back for our ice hockey program this year as well. Competitive cheer is coming off of a league championship, and they're competing in the wintertime. We have our POMS program going. We have boys and girls bowling that's going. Skiing is actually going to start, weather dependent with everything that we have with skiing. But skiing and snowboarding both are going on this winter. And I tell you what, it's so much fun to go out to the hill and watch those events, just to see the level of competition that's out there. It's kind of like watching the Olympics. It's great for me. We have wrestling that's coming off a district championship that's obviously just starting right now again. So proud of our wrestling program. The number of student athletes that participate every year, we were up to like 60 students that participated in wrestling last year, and that's amazing. And then something else is figure skating that is out there, one of our sports that we've had some great success in over the last few years. That's starting as well.
Awesome. You are really setting the stage. Lots to look forward to with West Bloomfield Athletics. Eric, I got one more question before we wrap things up. As you look ahead, what are your biggest goals for the athletic department and for continuing to build on West Bloomfield's proud sports tradition?
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest goals that we always have as an athletics department is we want to make sure that our student athletes experience the best there is to offer in educational athletics. And when I say experience, that means that they look back at it years down the road and they say, wow, those were some great times. We had the community support, we had the support of our school, we had the support of our administration, and we want them to look back on their time at West Bloomfield Athletics and look back fondly at what they did here. In addition to that, there's always, work that's being done on our facilities that we look to keep expanding and doing great things so that we can provide these opportunities. Whether it's, doing things in the weight room, doing things off season for conditioning stuff, or just providing a great place to play. Those are all parts of what we try to provide for our student athletes to make it that big positive experience that they want.
I love to hear it, Eric, and can't wait to see what's to come throughout the remainder of the West Bloomfield school year. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
No, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
From basketball to figure skating to even bowling, there's so many sports to look forward to with West Bloomfield High School, and we appreciate Eric Pierce for taking the time to talk with us on the Splash Live. With the rise of artificial intelligence continuing to make itself known, that can come with its share of pros and cons. One of the biggest cons being the spread of misinformation and false news, with the West Bloomfield Police Department cracking down on AI-powered scams and falsities. Officer Phil Pacheco of the West Bloomfield Police Department joined us recently on the Splash Live to tell us what we need to look for.
Detective Pacheco, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good morning.
Glad to have you on to talk about this. Good morning to you as well. It's an important topic, certainly on the minds of a lot of people in our community as AI becomes more ubiquitous from a technological standpoint with everyday people in our community. It also becomes even more advanced with scammers. At this time, what are some of the key points people need to be looking out for? What are some of the ways that scammers are using AI to target everyday people here in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond?
What we've seen recently over the past couple of years is that, really the most vulnerable people in our community, which those are, the elderly. We do have a large elderly population. They can be very easily fooled by this. So one thing that we're seeing that's being used by criminals to, scam the elderly or trick them is they'll receive a phone call. And they are so adamant that this sounded just like my grandson, my son, my daughter, whoever. This sounded just like them, and they needed help. They needed money. I needed to bond them out of jail. And we've had our residents here lose close to $100,000 and everything in between because they do fall victim to this.
And so what are some of those key ways that people can tell the difference between this is really my son, my daughter, my grandchild, a close friend, whomever it may be in their life, versus someone using technology to spoof a very similar way of speaking?
Well, I think it starts with, if you do have a elderly family member, it just starts with education. And I think the easiest thing that you can do and implement is some kind of like safe word, like a code word. But first educating them on like this extremely urgent phone call that they may get when, hey, I need money right now, this needs to happen. Being able to recognize that is step one, like that's a little off. And then step two would be, okay, what is the code word for this? And it could, could be anything unique to your family. And, obviously if it is your family, they're going to know that code word. If it's not, then you know that you're, likely being attempted to be victimized at that time.
And these are scams that are just starting to be more on the rise, more commonplace across many communities. They target people that are typically in elder populations, may not be as technologically savvy, and may not have the media literacy that others in younger populations have. But that doesn't mean that people in younger demographics aren't also susceptible to this. Detective Pacheco, usually that manifests itself in the way of misinformation or disinformation, especially on social media. What are some of the common ways that is manifested nowadays?
With the ability to take somebody's face, like we all love posting pictures of our family, our children, things that we do that we share with, the people that we know and love on social media. But, the technology exists to take that person's face and, use it in a criminal way. It could be for extortion. It could be for very other, horrible activities, especially when it comes to a minor or a child. So you just need to be careful what you're putting out there. And I think educating yourself on what somebody can do, with your face, with your voice, things like that is step one for every family. You need to talk about this as a family because it is real and it is happening.
And it goes back to some of those privacy settings that you really want to be mindful of. Who you're also bringing into some of these social media can also play a big impact in that. Do you know this person? Do they look familiar to you? If not, probably shouldn't have access to your information, especially now with the advent of AI, and it's certainly going to get a lot more advanced as time goes on. Detective Phil Pacheco is with us from the West Bloomfield Police Department. More helpful advice and safety information from our local PD can be found on Facebook at West Bloomfield PD. Detective Pacheco, from the law enforcement standpoint, what new maybe training methods are being brought in or may be employed soon for our local departments like yours to help also counteract some of these negative effects that AI may be having on communities like West Bloomfield?
It's funny, I was just looking at that today, like, hey, what's available? Companies are putting this training out for law enforcement. Really, what I found was how law enforcement can use AI to, for administrative purposes or even down to report writing to make the job easier, which, agree with it or not, it's there, it's happening. I think that, I guess to answer your question, I'm not really aware of any training that exists right now or that I've seen recently that would, give us some kind of investigative tools to investigate this better. I think that we here at this police department and the investigators that we have here in the Detective Bureau, we're all pretty aware of how this stuff works. We're younger, we grew up with this, we know kind of what the future holds for AI. And so I'm going to keep an eye out, but yeah, I don't know of anything right now.
Yeah, still early on with this becoming more easily accessible for people across all different sectors, whether it be businesses, whether it be everyday citizens like you and I, or it be these scammers that tend to be a little bit more on the cutting edge of these technologies and figure out how to do some of these scams early on before law enforcement and everybody else catches up to them, and then it all evens out relatively quickly. Detective Pacheco, with all of that being said, if someone does believe that they've taken your advice from today or other advice that they found about counteracting some of these scams that may arise or misinformation campaigns that may arise with the advent of more advanced AI, should they believe that they've fallen victim to that or they've been targeted by AI, what steps can they take with their local police department to report that and maybe begin some sort of investigation into who may be behind it?
A lot of times with these cases, time is of the essence. You have to report it immediately. A lot of people, start off with like, I'm really sorry to bother you with this, this has happened to me. But at the end of the day, we're here to serve the public. If it's important to you, it's important to us. And we want to help you. That's why we exist. And you need to report, anything to us right away. If you think you're being victimized or anything like that, please do it right away. Because in a lot of these situations, especially as it pertains to money and the different forms that we've seen people here in West Bloomfield send that money, time is of the essence. You need to report it to us right away so that we can start the investigation and hopefully maybe seize the funds and try to get those back to you to make you whole as part of the investigation. Certainly, we don't exist just to recover your money. At the end of the day, we'd like to get somebody criminally charged for what they've done to you. But again, report it to us right away. If your family member is elderly, it's awesome if you can bring them in and help explain kind of what happened so that we can get on it right away.
More information on West Bloomfield PD on Facebook. You can also go to wbtownship.org and contact the police department by their non-emergency number if you need additional advice on this or other matters that may affect you here in the greater West Bloomfield area. Detective Pacheco, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
And that's going to do it for us today here on the Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for making this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.